welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about law. Now, based off of the recent chapters, I'm to assume I'm talking about all the amazing things we've seen from law, especially the devil fruit feats with the long ass sword that law pulls out. But no, in this video, I'm actually going to be talking about the character aspects of law, right? Now, Law has been technically an honorary triad for like 3 consecutive arcs, which is crazy because out of all the supernovas, except for the ones that are in the triads, of course, Zoro and Luffy, he's the one that's gotten the most amount of screen time. And based off introductions, I assumed that even Kid would get that amount of screen time, but no, it was actually Law that got that much screen time. And because of that, I think because of this amount of screen time he's gotten, Law is actually more important character than most people would think. And I think he still has not that much of a significant role, I think, because the way it's gonna play out in my mind, it might be maybe in conjunction with the way the strides are gonna be discovering more information, more things about the One Piece world, more things about the past, about Joy Boy, about Imu. So yeah, now I think you get the gist of where I'm going with this. I think Law is gonna have an involvement in us knowing or discovering, receiving more information about the ancient past, because we know Law is actually one of the few D's, like I think except for Goldie Roger, maybe Shanks. We don't know if Shanks is a D, and we don't have confirmation of that yet, but Law is actually one of the few D's that has a devout interest in what that initial actually means. What does it mean to be a D? What is the ancient past? What is the connection with the celestial dragons? You know, with Law, he had that dialogue with Corazon, we can say his mentor, his main influence. I think it would be best described as is a major component of Law's character, right? And he kind of passed on that interest in the D and why the celestial dragons claim that they're the enemy of the gods, right? So with that, we can kind of see where it stems from, that interest that Law has, which he actually showed in Wano when he saw that giant poneglyph on Onigashima. He read the poneglyph and he was like, Corazon, I think I'm actually getting closer to finding out what the initial D means. And for me, that was mind-blowing. I'm like, what the hell did he actually read from that text? Or what is Law trying to find out? What is the significance of this initial D, this will, which it seems like it just stems, it's a connection throughout major characters in the past, from Joy Boy to Roger, maybe Rocks, and now it's Luffy. And I don't think Oda just left that storyline just dangling there. And I actually think that maybe with this fight with Luffy, we might actually get not an entire full blown reveal of what the D means, because if we remember, during that fight with Luffy, Kaido was looking at Luffy weird. He was like, I don't care. The more you smile, the more you enjoy the fight, the more vigor we get from this fight, the more he smiled. And for me, that just screamed the connection between that with the will of D, the way the characters smile when they're in extraneous situations and dangerous situations, when they're about to die. And that's the exact same thing that Luffy's doing when he was fighting with Kaido, his smiling. And I think right after that, I think Kaido said something along the lines of, could it be that ... So I think this implies that Kaido, he may have some assumption or some theories about what the initial D is and why this could potentially be connected to Joy Boy, because we can see that Kaido he has an obsession with this character, with this figure, this mysterious figure, Joy Boy. And I think it's no coincidence that the people that Kaido would have thought to have been this ancient figure, this figure Joy Boy, the figure that he wanted to be so much when he was younger, when he was in his prime, had a very close connection to the will of D. Like, if we look at Kaido's top 5 when Luffy just rocked the shit out of him at the start of Roof Beast, he envisioned Roger, Zebek, Whitebeard, Odin, and Shanks. And we know that out of all of these individuals, only 2 have been confirmed to have the will of D, right? Which is Roger and Zebek. Shanks, we're not so sure. With Odin, I think it's still up in the air because it's a weird thing with the Kozuga lineage and what they could represent, with them being so woven in this history so much. They could have some inheritance of the will of D, but not necessarily the will itself, but maybe something close to it. Because the way Odin spoke about how his will is gonna persevere for the next 20 years in the future, it just seems very similar to what the will of D, how the will of D has been portrayed to be, a will that can pass through generations, that traverses time, right? And with Whitebeard, he knew Roger. He was under Zebek, so it's possible that some of that will was passed on to him. So yeah, I think with that connection there with the D's and how Kaido's top 5, it has people closely linked to them. But I think it could be not a coincidence, but just that the D's, normally they're charismatic people. They're normally around charismatic people. People who are in One Piece, powerful people have more charisma, right? It's a weird thing where which starts first, the charisma or the power. But I think in One Piece, they're born with that potential to be powerful, but the charisma is already there. But I think both of them, they're born in potency to where they grow in that charisma and power, right? So for Kaido, we can kind of gauge that the person he perceives to be Joy Boy is the most powerful character, because we know how he cried for Whitebeard. He probably thought that Whitebeard was Joy Boy, and that last fleeting hope that the people he knew, people he surrounded himself, one of them could be Joy Boy, and that just went up in flames, right? That could be why Kaido was so pressed about Whitebeard dying. Another reason why I think that Law is going to be maybe during this fight with Luffy, as maybe Kaido reveals some information, Law, after he rests up or something, he could just walk around looking for a poneglyph or just information, or I don't know, the possibility of him talking to Momo or Yamato and asking them about Odin's logbook, it's actually there, right? So that could be some of the information that Law needs from, to piece the information that he already has and the information in Odin's logbook to create an accurate assumption of what was going on. And maybe that's how I found out about what the will of D means. But now we know that there's some certain information that was in the logbook that's missing. So, but I think it's been alluded to relate to the specific roles of the sovereigns, whatever figure that Momo is, one of the sovereigns. But I think it's not Joy Boy. I think it's already been set up for Luffy more so than Momonosuke to be Joy Boy. So, but the point is that missing information from the logbooks, I think that's the information that Law is actually looking for. Wherever Odin got that information from, it could have been from Onigashima, but I doubt that, because we never got anything relating or saying that Odin was on Onigashima at some point in time, right? But the fact that when Big Mom was falling through that hole in on Onigashima, she was like, "What is it with this island? Why couldn't I figure it out? What kind of information is on this island? What does Big Mom mean? Is it that this island stands for a specific entity itself, relating to the Void Century or something, relating to Joy Boy? Why did Kaido say, I'm here because of why? Because it's Wano. Why did Kaido specifically say that? Why would he put a guardian deity, that being Yamato's devil fruit, and say that it's here to guard Wano? Why is Wano so important to these big figures? I think this is the kind of information they found out from being with Zebek, being with Rocks on that crew, right? They found some information about Wano or about Onigashima, but they still haven't figured out what it is that's on Onigashima that will help reveal what the One Piece is, potentially, or maybe just what Joy Boy and the roles of the sovereigns are. And I think it may be something that's time sensitive. Just as Roger said, when they got to Raftel, they said that they were too early. I mean, yeah, they were too early, and then they left. So maybe whatever it is, it's waiting. It's for itself to reveal to the real Joy Boy, to the actual sovereigns, that being maybe Shirahoshi, Momo, maybe Luffy. If Luffy is actually Joy Boy. But yeah, with all things considered, I think that Law is actually the character, the pirate. His pirate journey is different from Luffy's, right? Luffy's journey is more so geared towards becoming the pirate king, being the actual sovereign. Even though we know Luffy's not, he wants to be a pirate king, but when it comes to the ancient history, about the ancient figures, he's not really in tune, he's not really interested in that, even though it seems like he's already heavily involved, especially with his deal for being alluded to be special, and CP0 having problems with his deal food being potentially awakened in this interaction. So I think Law it's gonna be like that One Piece fan that's wondering why things are the way they are in the One Piece world, especially when it comes to the great pirates, the most influential ones. Why the will of D matters so much. Why, even for the great pirates that don't have the will of D, the people that influenced them the most, the people that were around them, they had the will of D. Why the celestial dragons are so pressed about the will of D. Why they're so afraid of it. So I think Law is gonna be that character, that One Piece fan that's gonna be uncovering all these mysteries. I think this actually makes sense because it's kind of like after Wano, what do you think Law's character is gonna be? Do you think that Oda's just gonna leave that character, like, or Law's character is just gonna end in Wano, or he's gonna do something else? And I think this would make the most sense for Law's character, to uncover the mystery of the D, to uncover the ancient history. That's my take on how I perceive Law going on from now in the story. What I think would be interesting for Oda to do with Law's character. But yeah, I think we'll see whatever happens with Law. I think it will be interesting either way. The way Law's character is structured, it's interesting, right? I love how he's interested in the will of D, because I don't think anybody else has questioned that except for maybe Robin, right? Because she's an archaeologist. So it's nice to get the perspective of another character that's not within the main cast, at least the Straw Hats, to question why things the way they are. Just leave your thoughts down below. What do you think Law's character is gonna be? What do you think? Do you think he's the one who's gonna uncover the secrets of the will of D for us, or do you disagree? I know people might disagree with this because they say, well, Robin exists, right? But I don't think Robin has to be the only way we know about things, right? We also get information from other characters. So I think Oda could use uh, law for that. Yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, leave a like, and yeah, leave me a comment down below. See you in the next one. Peace.